Hey guys, this is Max Carton's YouTube channel, so please subscribe, hit all the notification bell buttons and whatever buttons you can press and get his channel. Cheers.
What's up guys, I'm Max Carton and this is of course Mr. Thomas Blug, Mr. STRATKING of Europe. So I thought why not talk a little bit about the nice 61 Strat, which is your beloved #1 instrument that you play all the time on all the gigs and everything. So let's talk about it a little bit, the specifications, what's stock, what's model 3 frets, anything that might be fun to know about it.
Absolutely. So, everybody knows me as the Strat guy. I have had many Strats in my life, cheap ones, expensive ones, authentic ones. This is a real 1961 Stratocaster that experts tell me it has been refinished in the Fender factory in the 60s. So it's using the authentic lacquer paint job procedure. The crackling is the original thing, but somehow the guitar is a little thinner than the rest, so it must have been sanded in a way. And I personally believe that this makes this guitar special and maybe even better. I came up with the theory less is more, so it's very vibrant even without an amplifier. And that's one thing you need to know. For those guys who are into vintage guitars, these are typical things. The crack here is a typical thing, and the shrinking of the scratch plate kind of sucks the screws into the sides because the plastic kind of shrinks, and this is one thing that tells you about being old. As you can see, it's the spaghetti logo, which is correct for 61. It has the thick fretboard. The camera might see this. It's called slabboard.
Slabboards,
yeah. And this is 61 typical, and I have refretted this guitar at least 10 times in my life. I own this guitar since I was 17, and I had all kind of experience with this guitar. I had like steel frets. I went back for normal frets for the sound reason. Steel was a bit too harsh for this guitar, and the Strat is bright anyhow. Stock Fender pickups in the outer position and a reverse wound, reverse polarity pickup for the in-between positions are no harm. Let me dial in some high gain so you hear. This is the standard noise we get from a single coil, and the in-between position is quiet, and that's this pickup. In-between position is quiet, and then this is my dummy comp. I have too much gain. Modern channel on my amp 1 and tons of,
Yeah, so the dummy call allows you to get a bit more fatness and also to reject the hum whenever needed. So if you're on a gig and you want to go big, then...
It is, for a Strat player like myself, it is something that helped me, because you never know what the conditions are, and some stages are really terrible. And it used to be even worse back in the days where the lights and the dimmer packs.
The dimmers are really shitty.
Yeah. And today's we have LED lights, and it's better. It's way better when it comes to this kind of noise for Strat players.
I notice in my house, by example, we have dimmers, and whenever I sense that somebody is using a dimmer, even with my humbucker guitars, it's really shitty for the noise. It's really shit sound. So indeed, if you have a Strat,
it is something that
game.
It helps me to survive, especially when I play more gain. Sometimes it's not needed, and it does change the tone a little bit. Maybe I can show you on my vintage channel. So this is off. It has a bit more sparkling highs, and I'm very much after this high end, as you know. That's part of my whispery voice. And then on the other hand, I also want to have my big throaty tones, but I want a full range, so I'm sensitive about all those frequencies and all those different tones within the tonal palette, and that's why I do certain modifications and I don't do other modifications, like a master tone, for instance.
Yeah. So basically everything is maxed out so that you can express to the maximum, which we notice whenever you play, that you really are allowed to go wherever you feel like going, and you are so connected with the instruments because you have been with it since you're 17 years and everything. So it makes sense, and that's something that inspired me too, to go down that route, one instrument and maximizing that and trying to connect with it. And
I think there's more music because it is your personality that is able to shine through the instrument. And if you have 10 instruments, your job is to shine through 10 instruments. And then where's your personality? But the more time you spend with this one instrument, the wider you can open the door for your personality with this particular instrument. Of course, you have to compromise. One instrument has always limitations, but in the end, it is like one singer, and it's not like you see an opera with 4 singers and it's like, who is what? We like our defined heroes. I mean, if there's, like AC/DC or Freddie Mercury or Ian Gillan or whoever is your favorite voice, this is the person you connect to. And so if I play only one instrument, you connect to me as a person with that one instrument. Otherwise it's like, oh, he's playing that guitar, that also sounds great, but where is my soul?
It's basically you found your voice with this instrument, and it's your voice that you chose to have, and it's the one that you feel most comfortable to express yourself in, and that's really the beauty about it. And if we look at all the great guitarists that I admire, like yourself, like Rory Gallagher, like Brian May,
sure,
Angus Young,
yes.
Most of the guys, even Slash, but he has a lot of Les Pauls, but in the end he chose to focus on Les Pauls because he knows that instrument and he has his voice with it.
Absolutely.
It really differentiates you as a player when you go all the way into a certain voice, so that you are recognizable.
Yeah.
And I really like that concept.
Yeah, and it's there is not a better guitar. There is several guitars, and you choose what's the better guitar for you.
Yeah.
And that's the magic about having the choices and different personalities, because otherwise we would listen to only one guitar and one style of playing. So the exciting part is your choice of guitar and your choice of the stuff that you're doing with it. And we all know Les Paul used to be a jazz guy that created a guitar, and Slash plays totally different music from Les Paul on a Les Paul.
Yeah.
And so there's all this room for personality. We have this canvas of a guitar, and then you paint your picture on that canvas, which is a Les Paul or a Strat or a Tele or whatever is your choice. You fill it with your colors, and then we can appreciate that picture, or we like it, we don't like it, and this is what we can do.
Yeah.
And for me, the Strat is just everything is at the right place. Other people hate the instrument. I've seen videos where people complain about the volume is like it's like, oh, I can't play this, and I have like but for me it's like I adjusted to the instrument, so my little finger is always on the volume. So everything is in the right spot, at the right place, and of course I have to accept the instrument as it is, maybe do some modifications, but I haven't found a better place for a volume port on a guitar for me.
For you.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about this, is that you, much like when you have a partner, a wife or a man or whatever, you accept the good and the bad, and you
make
choose
it work.
that one and you make it work. And it's I can see that you really are the Strat guy, and it's not for nothing that they called you the Strat King of Europe. It's
well, I mean, I won that prize, and I played with great guitar players on this kind of event that Fender did back in 2004, I think. Yeah, 50 years of Stratocaster, and probably some of the other Strat players are technically maybe even better. I don't know. I mean, there were some kind of killer players with me. Everybody was, out of the 6 finalists, was at least worth being a Strat King. The final decision was made by an audience. I played live in front of a crowd in that Arundel Castle, nice UK castle park, and they had a band, and they I had a good day, and I played my thing, and the people enjoyed that maybe more. And that this made me the Strat King.
I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that you have found your voice on it, and you can express through it, and that it's recognizable, your melodies and the way you phrase and everything. And in the end, I think that's also more important than all the licks and stuff. You need to have the licks, but if you don't have the voice first, then all the licks don't matter.
Exactly. And it's like, I mean, you're the AC/DC expert to me. It's reduced to the max, and it's the same thing like if you are into the solo guitar. I mean, many people refer to B.B. King as, B.B. King plays one note, and he puts on 3 different kind of bends and faces, and this is all it takes. So less is more, but there's your voice, there's your personality that shines through, and the rest is ornaments. It's just some fairy dust, but the bone message is that. And of course, as guitar players, we always tend to have a bad conscience about, I don't know this lick, I'm not a good guitar player. Well, the most successful guitar players are not the guys that knows the shredder licks. These are the guitar player heroes. For the ordinary people, it is groove, melody, music. And sometimes we should think about that, and then think about, is Keith Richards the best guitar player? Maybe not, but maybe he's the richest, which means a lot of people like what he's doing.
Yeah.
Something must be right. And same, Angus Young, or you name them all. So for me, sometimes it's good to have the picture from a wider angle and think about, do I need to practice harmonic minor all night like Yngwie Malmsteen to express myself. He found his thing, but for me it's only that little spice, so I don't have to waste 25 hours, which I actually don't have, on practicing another harmonic minor fireworks exercise.
Yeah, but like you said, I think your first album was The Beauty of Simplicity, and it shines through that that is a lot. And you also have the licks, but you first have that voice, and then you add the spice on top of it, and it makes a nice full picture if you have the voice and then also all the money licks.
That album title came after I recorded the whole thing, because I recorded my songs, and I had some with singers, and I had some with instrumentals with the approach of showing up or whatever. This was a process of finding myself, and then when I listened to the whole thing, I got rid of the singers because they were too complicated to work with. So this final album with all my favorite vocal tracks, which I love singers, and I like that kind of music, will come one day. It's all here, and some of the stuff has already been recorded, but when I listened to the other recordings, I found the simple stuff was the most beautiful one, and I liked it the best, and this is where the album title comes from. And it's still true, because it's when you listen to what you do, that's a different thing when you play. I have to admit, I like to play a lot sometimes, on stage, having fun, and that's okay for a live moment. But when I listen to my recordings, sometimes the best moments are the simple moments. And it's like, that note at this place, it's like, I have this simple lick that I do, and then if this comes at the right moment with the right chord, I play that this is all it takes.
It's much like the solo we did in last night's episode. One note, like
you did
1,000 times, but if you have the right attitude, like Angus, then there is nothing like it. Also, the one Gary Moore note, it's so much attitude, and it's all about that and finding your voice and everything. And it's great to see your instrument and to talk about talk about it and what it has done over the years and everything.
Yeah, and frets and all this. Yeah,
and so you have it floating also. Because I at one point I tried the Strat too, and like you said, when you have it floating, you have the best chance if you use the bar to keep it in tune, because the string goes over and then it comes back and it's in a different place. And when you come back, you allow the string to come back to its natural place.
Yeah, I mean, I found out that when I block it in a way, I can block it totally. Then it stays in tune very nice. Of course, that makes sense. But if I have it only like I can,
you can only go down. The string goes further. You come back, but you can never get the string back behind it.
Yeah, that kind of. Some people do that kind of setup, and you use the whammy bar, and it's out of tune afterwards.
Yeah.
Of course, it all depends on friction that you can get from the nut or from the string tree or from whatever mechanical part can block the string from going back to the original position.
Yeah.
But by having it free floating, to me, I just wiggle the bar and it
comes back into that point.
Yeah. If there is nothing blocking, but it seems to work pretty good. Essential is how to put on the strings, and that's something, as you can see, I just put on new strings the other day, there's only 1 or 2 windings on each machine head, and that's
to reduce the friction on the nuts.
Yeah, because if you have too many, then you put the tuning down by pressing the bar, and then there is less. And then sometimes it kind of, if it's too many windings, it clicks one because the wound strings, and then when it goes back, it's too sharp.
Yeah, then there is too much room for a hair to slip and everything.
So that's reduced. I have, it's 1 turn, 2 turns, 2 turns, 3 turns, 3 turns.
Yeah. And also with the bar floating like that, it's not fully connected to the body. Yeah. So it allows it to have a more transparent, stratty tone, if we may.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this floating sound is different. And to me, it is a typical Strat thing, because if you have it connected hardtail style, it's closer to telly.
It's going towards the telly thing,
And there's nothing wrong about telly, but it's a different tone. It's maybe a bit more punchy and stuff, but that's the beauty of a Strat. It is soft in a way, and
I think if you have a Strat, it's nice to go all the way into the Strat thing and to have that fully, that voice fully covered. And if you have that covered, you can try some things to add some extra stuff on top. But if you don't have the original Strat voice covered, it's not really ideal in my eyes. But of course, in music you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. I mean, for me, this is what the instrument offers, and that's an offer to the player. And the player can choose that sweet spot of the instrument or just one aspect. Certain, there was a guy called Sally Jordan, with tapping, and if he plays a Strat and makes his music on the Strat and the tone is his thing, why not? But my heroes used all these kind of aspects in a similar way. And, Richie Blackmore didn't use the middle pickup, but I do, but not as much. So I'm 50% Blackmore and 50% myself. But this is,
It's cool to take the stuff that you like from people and
make it your own.
Make it your own, put some other stuff in there.
So I'm very much learning from other people, and in the end, that's a good foundation, but it needs to have another level of your own personality, and then
you need to make all the notes working the voice that you have.
And this is how every guitar player in the past, all my heroes have done it the same way. Led Zeppelin, they have maybe too many legal fights about riffs that they have stolen, and even Richie Blackmore has some YouTube videos about where maybe this is not totally original, but
it's undeniable that they made a mark with their voice.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if they have stolen all this shit, because
when they make it their own in a way that is actually a new level, I highly respect that as an intellectual property creation, based on something else. Of course, there's a legal aspect if it's like the same notes, but where is the border between using the same notes? But if Led Zeppelin with Bonzo doing the hard style of rock beat behind a blues lick that somebody else has done before, that's another level. So, of course, they paid some money to these guys sometimes, and it's all fair, but I like Led Zeppelin because of what they've done.
Yeah.
And so it's good.
It's all good as long as it inspires to me. And if you need to pay some guy some money, it's all good. I think Jimmy Page has enough of it, so he can spare a few bucks to the guys that he stole his shit from. Yeah. And everybody's happy. He makes his money. The guys who he stole some shit from
get some money,
and it's all good.
Yeah.
Hey guys, that was a really fun look at your 61 Strat, your beloved #1 instrument.
Yep.
As always, it was such fun to do the episode with you. If you haven't checked it out, we did episode 84 yesterday online, which was talking about the Strat and the Les Paul and trying to maximize using one instrument for everything live. So that was that episode.
And we did another one last year.
57. It was the AC/DC deep dive, going in depth about how we can get the AC/DC tones with the good old Marshalls, which we have a lot of here.
Sure.
But we noticed that you have made an amp that can basically do exactly the same, and it can do it in a nice way, in a modern way, and it's taking everything to the future. So guys, please check out the live streams that we did. Yeah. If you ever see an Amp 1, give it a try. It's a nice amp, I like it. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.